Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your man, Governor Wildstar, and welcome to the Black Side of Liberty. I appreciate you for joining me here today, especially during these uncertain times, as they've so put it. But I don't want to delay things any further because I started the show it's a little late due to technical difficulties, but we got everything rolling. I got my man Kokesh here, Adam Kokesh, Libertarian, former Libertarian candidate for President of the United States here to speak with me, and I will be introducing him shortly. But first, a few announcements, of course, before we go on. Please, everybody, if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this, subscribe to my channel, GovernorWildstar.com. That's our Governor Wildstar on Facebook. Go to my website, GovernorWildstar.com, of course, and please be sure to subscribe, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Connect with your boy, help spread the word because I'm trying to build my audience. I'm doing my best to be that spokesman for libertarianism, and that's what we need to do is focus on contributing and supporting those people that are out there speaking for all of our freedoms and liberties, and of course want to bridge this gap of divide that has been created here in our country. So please, again, do whatever you can to support. And of course, share this video, share any of my other videos on my YouTube, any of my posts on social media. Please be sure to share. Again, helping to spread the word. It's all about keeping each other informed. And I do my best to provide as much information as possible so you guys can stay in the loop of what's going on, not only in the mainstream fake news media, but on the streets, on the ground, where the people are, okay? And of course, all of you people out there that are contributing, I do appreciate all of the financial support. And those of you that are wondering why would you donate, you would be contributing to my independent activism at all costs. And it would be appreciated if those efforts were to be funded by you instead of coming out of my own pocket like they have been. So it takes a group of people to put this message out there. That's what the left is doing. You got millionaires like George Soros funding their activities. That's what the alt-right is doing. They got millionaires like Trump and other supporters of his funding their activities. So we, the people, we need to collectively put our money where it counts. And that's for on those freedom activists that are out there fighting for the real cause, okay? So, with no further ado, I do want to introduce to you my guest. Hello to you, Eddie Jones. Oh, yeah, before we go introduce my man, I got Eddie Jones. What's up? He says, what's up? I appreciate you for tuning in. He says, hello, Governor Wildstar. So if you're out there watching and you want to give a shout out, please do like my man Eddie right here. Just drop a comment wherever you are, and I'll be sure to post that, okay? And another announcement is Black Lives Matter, okay? So if you on my feed with that All Lives Matter shit, you still confused, okay? I'm going to try to explain it to you like this. I seen a meme where it was a lady walking past a house, and she was putting up a house that was on fire, and the other lady said, well, what about my house? Aren't you going to save my house? All houses matter. This is how I'm going to plainly put it. If you save that one house from burning, you save the whole neighborhood from burning down. We're seeing that happen in our country right now. So when you talk about all lives matter when Black lives matter, okay? We need to come together as a community, as a family, and realize that there's a certain group among our population that's being targeted for extermination. It happened to the Jews in Germany. It's happened to the African Americans here in America, okay? So we need to come together as a country, unified, and making sure that we preserve all of our lives by making sure our melanated brothers and sisters are protected, okay? So if you have that privilege of the lighter shade of brown, please do what you can to support those people of the message of Black Lives Matter. Fuck the group. We all know they funded by Soros and leftists, and they have an alternate agenda, which is to cause chaos. But if you're out there promoting the message of Black Lives Matter, then that's really what it's all about. So let's come together under that banner right there. All right. So, like I said, with no further ado, I want to introduce to you my man, brother Adam Kokesh. What's up, brother Kokesh? And thank you for joining me on the Black Side of Liberty, my man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on, Nick. You know, it's an honor to follow you after that introduction, setting the bar very high. I gotta say, like, I want to be interviewing you. I get to watch all of this unfold from like I'm at my on my little perch here at the Garden of Freedom. I have my 10-acre homestead, my own little paradise in the mountains in Arizona, and I get to live off grid down 3 miles of private dirt road. You're a black man living in California. Like, you know, I could take maybe the zoomed out perspective is good for something too. But man, like this is, you know, as well as I do how much all of this is controlled. And I'm 100% behind you that, yeah, Black Lives Matter is important because we have a system that operates in many ways like Black lives don't matter. Why is this happening now, though? You have to be very suspicious when it comes to just looking at the timing, because, you know, like the George Floyd video is freaking heinous. Like, there's no way around it. It's disgusting. And and you go, yeah, well, of course, Adam, that went viral. Of course, it's going to spark a movement. Of course, it's going to, you know, be the match that sparks the fire, that blah, 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 and all. It's like, yeah, but we've seen this before. And people, well, no, Adam, we haven't seen a video as brutal as the murder of George Floyd. Yeah, we did. Eric Garner in New York City, loose cigarettes. Hello. In fact, I think now this is like kind of subjective, but like I think that one was worse because it's like he's I can't breathe. He's got him in a chokehold. It's not like I have him with a knee and I have to contain him because he's been resisting. It's like I'm just taking down this big dude and I'm gonna put him in a chokehold until he's dead. Like and why? So. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a movement. I'm not saying that this isn't righteous, that there aren't great things coming out of this. But why is it happening now? It's happening now because the mainstream media wanted it to happen now, because they wanted to salvage the credibility of the system after coronavirus bullshit was wearing thin. And they set a trap for Donald Trump. Set a trap for Donald Trump. Yeah. Cheeto Jesus walked right into it. Right? Because
man, I'm telling you, too much truth that I don't think they're ready for out there. You know, we know it's a hoax. I mean, especially nobody's even talking about coronavirus right now. The news is just hush on it. State officials, the president, it just went away. But yeah, it's definitely being provoked in many ways, you know, and then some. That this has kind of been a buildup. You know, we not saw because they didn't provide us with any video evidence of the killing of Duncan Lemp, who was a white man that was in his house, his girlfriend.
Yeah.
The cops went to his house, shot it up, and killed the man. And right now, his parents are out there protesting with the Black Lives Matter movement against this police state. And they were actually arrested. So, you know, we had the killing of Breonna Taylor, the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, you know.
Yeah. You see, having followed this just in the news, everywhere you see in another city, there's another protest. It's George Floyd and somebody else. It's George Floyd and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy, because they've all got all these local examples, and you go, God damn it.
Yeah.
See, like I support the message, and you know, far be it for me, as you know, a Jewish white. If I was half black instead of half Jewish, I'd be like way more cooler in SJW eyes. But my minority status is I'm half Jewish, half European mutt, right? And so, like, far be it for me to tell black people how to protest. It's all, and I will even defend people who are destroying property. When it comes, like, if there's a terrorist organization and cops are terrorists and they're terrorizing your community and they're killing black men, and it's men, not women, who are the great. By the way, Nick, do you know this? Do you know the psychology of this part of racism? I studied this. I was a psych major undergrad, and we studied racism and discrimination. And you would think black women would be the target of greater discrimination, and in some institutional ways they are, because they're black.
Oh, damn, I lost you there right when you were talking good stuff, man. Hopefully his feed will pick up soon. But I have, again, former presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party, Adam Kokesh, here to speak with me. And hopefully he'll be back online soon. But in the meantime, you guys, I do want to pick up where he left off, talking about the importance of protecting the Black women. They're the ones that keep the seed going, and it's, if us as Black men are being targeted, being discriminated against, being extinguished, then we definitely must step up to the plate to make sure that we're not only protecting ourselves, but making sure that we're protecting our Black women who have also fallen victim of, this police state that, again, has targeted minorities of different groups. And with Black people being the third or smallest group in this country, being about a third of the population, then it's definitely, again, a targeted attack against those people. So please do your research. Hopefully we'll be able to get Adam Kokesh back online here soon so he can continue to speak with us. It looks like he may be back. Hold on, let me see. Adam,
hey,
are
Nick,
you there?
yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry about that. I was getting a call and it just interrupted the feed. I apologize. So as I was saying, though, it's Black men. There is a phenomena of white men, or the racial majority, being insecure about the incursion of a minority male population. You can impregnate the women, right? And I know this sounds really crude, but this is like the biology and the psychology behind racism. And so, if you're a Black man in America and you go, hey, there's a terrorist organization that's terrorizing my community, that's singling me out as a target for murder, and I'm going to go and I'm going to destroy the tools of their murder, like, yeah, totally righteous. And I'd go a step further and say, look, if you're going and you're attacking businesses that have donated to police charities, right? Which really means that they've sponsored these terrorists. They're literally, because what are they doing? They're not really donating. They're buying extra protection. Even my parents in California, you know about this as a California resident, right? California Highway Patrol has their 1199 association, and it's the officer down code. And if you donate a certain amount of money, you get to put a sticker on your car. You get to put a license plate frame, and you get a little badge in your wallet. You get pulled over, you give them your driver's license and your 1199 club membership badge. So, like, if it's a business that's being used to generate funds to sponsor your terrorists, even go after them. I'll go even a step further and say, if you're looting a Target, let's say you're a young Black man in America, and because of government, you are out of work because of a forced unemployment crisis that government put on this country using a virus with a lower mortality rate than testifying against Hillary Clinton as the excuse. And now you're out of a job and you can't feed your family, and Target is allowed to stay open, and you have an excuse to say, screw it. I'm taking back what's been taken from me. I'm taking back my potential. I'm not even taking back near what's been taken from me already in taxes. If you have a chance to take it and you feel the need to do it, you know what? You have my blessing. You do not have my support, however. I will not help you in this. I will not encourage you in this. Exactly. I will say, you have my blessing. You do not have my support. Because, it's tempting to say that right now it's the Malcolm X's as opposed to the MLKs who are speaking for the Black community. And that's unfortunate. I'm on the MLK side of the commitment to nonviolence and peaceful protest and peaceful ways of making progress. But you know what? It's not even fair to Malcolm X to give him credit for the people right now on the streets who are turning this into, even as a righteous expression of anger, into a confrontation that's counterproductive, that gives the government an excuse to justify police budgets. And it's exciting to watch. If you could just burn down all the police buildings in America today, it's like pushing Rothbard's button, kind of, but just for police. America would be better off if we got rid of every police department and had to start from scratch providing for public safety and dispute resolution. We'd see communities come together like never before. We would be better off 100%. But is this the best way? No, absolutely not. And the real change that's going to come out of this, and this is the thing that I've kind of been repeating to myself, that's really important to keep in mind, is that the real progress towards justice is not made in times of upheaval. It's made quietly in the times between. And we're going to be able to look back on this time and apply the lessons from it and go, okay, look what this revealed.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't, I don't like, instead, the collapsitarian in me is really tempted. Like, let's go over a cliff. It's not. But it's like, oh my gosh, they burned a police department down. They get their protest. They made Trump go hide in a bunker. Let's push. Let's make the thing go off the cliff. And you go,
you just got to have a woo-saw moment, you know. And I'm with you about being a supporter. I'm not really supporter, but I guess advocate of those people that are going out there and I guess we're taking back what they feel like.
Yeah, it's been stolen from us. Yeah, all of us.
Absolutely. And it's not just black people that are out there going into these Targets and these stores, high-end stores, taking, you know, goods or products. It's actually a lot of white people because, again, it's a white majority in this country. And we're seeing videos come in from, you know, citizen journalists where you're seeing white people in Beverly Hills doing in Huntington Beach and other esteemed parts of California and other parts of the country where there are white people out there doing some looting. So again, more power to you.
Yeah, no, and the other thing is, you know, that this is all being manipulated. Like the bricks in the streets, I looked into it. Like, that's a real thing. You know, is it the only thing? No, but like Antifa getting out, a lot of this is Soros sponsored. But the main thing is, even like, don't get sucked down any of those little rabbit holes. All you have to keep in mind is that this is happening now on the scale it is happening at because the mainstream media wants it to.
Right. Oh, yeah, definitely. Because, again, they're provoking it by putting out certain material in the news. Like, they're not reporting at all about the white provocateurs. They're not reporting at all about the bricks and the Molotov cocktails.
Right.
And types of, you know, partitions for people to grab and throw at things. They're not talking about police standing down in certain cities and allowing the chaos to ensue. So it's going on, again, on the underground level of what's going on. But I'm a big advocate of the by any means necessary part of resilience and rebellion. And so was Dr. Martin Luther King, who also said, you know, he feels like he's integrated his people into his own house. We're starting to see that house burn down right now in many different ways. So before we go any further, I mean, I didn't even get to give you a proper introduction. So if you could just tell the people, who is Adam Kokesh? Because I know who the hell you are, but if you tell all of the people out there that are watching, just a little quick bio, and then we're going to continue going into more of this conversation because we got a lot to talk about. But
I'm someone I'm someone who lives somewhere that it's very hot right now, and I don't want to run my air conditioning to make noise for the interview. I'm in the mountains of Arizona, as I mentioned before, with my sovereign 10 acres, with the Garden of Freedom here, and we refer to it as Gardenia for short. And I'm a Marine Corps combat veteran. Longtime activist, first with full-time with Iraq Veterans Against the War.
You must have got another phone call, man. You got to turn off your phone or something. Hopefully, Brother Kokesh will be back with us. We lost him there. But he is also an author. Like he was just saying, he was an Iraq veteran that once he came back from Iraq, started to get involved in the anti-war movement, Veterans Against Wars. So he was very involved in that. Hopefully he'll be able to come back, talk a bit more about that, especially right now since we have military presence being discussed and National Guardsmen being deployed throughout the United States of America. So we need to talk a lot about that. My man, I just want to go through a few of these comments here. Let's see what we got. My man Repo Diamond says, Trump trying this tactic so he can be reelected. They got Chicago police looting. I seen those videos and pictures too, where you got officers that actually out there doing looting also. So I guess they feel like they're not getting paid enough either to protect and serve the people of the community. So they're going to get their dues paid. So, but yeah, this is definitely a tactic, I believe, to also implement martial law. Once that's declared, the president, the standing president, there can be no election to remove them. Do you people hear that? Okay. The president has already low-key declared martial law by saying that National Guardsmen will be deployed to all 50 states to quell these protests. So hopefully we can get Adam here to talk about that. I mean, you there, man?
I think the end times are. Yeah, no, man. I think the end times are here. This is like Verizon. The Verizon just totally dropping out here in the mountains, and normally we have crystal clear service. I don't. This is it's a funny time to be alive, man. Holy shit! Like the big thing that I was covering on my show today. I'll do this for you guys too here. I have a whiteboard, and I like to make funny diagrams on my whiteboard, and that's not racist. It's just because the board is white and the ink is black. But you're the one in white face today, Nick. What's up? What's up with that? Okay, so there's like, okay, so things are like trucking along, and we go, all right. So here's the coronavirus crisis. And just as it's starting, it seems like it's coming down. You go, oh shit! Here are the riots, and you go, okay, are things? And so like maybe this is where we are right now, right? Like even the riots and the protests seem, like doing taper, and I hope they continue in a more organized sense, pursuing the peaceful means of reform that are like the good things coming out of this, like the LA city mayor saying that, instead of putting all that money into the police is going to put it into the black community. Policies are changing about use of force, things like that. So the question is like, does this come back down to normal after this? Or is this the start of, the 12 plagues? And it just keeps going, up and up and up and up. And, the big point that I made in my show today, because I read an article said, are we on the brink of a revolution? And it's really tempting, like to go, yeah, we might be. A lot of the things are similar that we see in the trends socially, economically right now. And if you think about, just quality of life for humanity kind of increases exponentially with technology, right? Over time, as we're able to, produce more goods and services per hour of human labor. Mm-hmm. The thing is, there's always been an amount that's been skimmed off the top by government, right? If we go like, here's quality of, here's time, here's quality of life, right? And you go, well, this in between part is what we're starting to see now, like never before. Oh, that's what's being stolen from us. That's our potential. And what does that mean? Like that means less homeless people. That means less people going hungry. That means everybody being able to afford top quality health care, as opposed to where we are today, where they keep us in a kind of struggling wage slavery status. Mm-hmm. And, where we could be right here, or, way up here without that government burden, might be, we're starting to realize that might be 2 or 3 times the quality of life that we're experiencing. And so when you step back, like, and you ask this question, are we headed for a revolution? I think what that ignores is the exponential nature of these curves, where what we are on the verge of is not a revolution where we just close that gap, because humanity is progressing, for up and down, over time, but there's been an overall trend of progress. And what we're on the verge of is a major leap in evolution towards justice, towards overthrowing this system with a greater global awareness and connectedness due to the internet than we've ever had before in all of human history. Like that's what's really exciting right now.
You're right. It feels like we're kind of like on this precipice for change, and we're on the brink of revolution in so many ways. And I've actually caught slack for hanging my flag here upside down to notify people, let them know that we are a nation in distress. So I want to ask you, Adam, do you think we are a nation in distress right now? I mean, you kind of that.
I want to I want to say something more meaningful semantically than, yeah, of course we are. Fly the flag upside down, because I've been flying it upside down symbolically since, I first became a full-time activist getting back from Iraq and joining Iraq Veterans Against the War. Like, yeah, we still have troops dying overseas for lies. I'd say we got a fucking problem here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we still have rampant police abuse. Excuse me, we have the government using this virus as an excuse. Again, the whole system is set up for the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. Like, that's the point. All the racial divisions, all the mechanics, it's all distractions. It's all like, what is the point of this? What did they do with coronavirus? They use it as an excuse to add $9 trillion of liquidity to.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Ah, damn. He was just talking about the money. That's why they caught him. For sure. Adam Kokesh, former Libertarian candidate for president of the United States, lost his feed. He'll be back soon, hopefully any moment. But he was just talking about the inflation of debt that has been happening under we the people's noses. The government has added nearly $20 trillion in debt, okay, to the national debt, which is already 20-something trillion dollars. So with the amount of money that they've inflated into the economy, by this time next year, probably even next year, or by the end of this year, your dollar will be valueless. So the government is already moving to start developing cryptocurrency like China. You have Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan also moving to start doing transactions using cryptocurrency and trading using cryptocurrency. So definitely look into investing into some other commodity other than fiat currency. That's the paper money that you use in your wallet. That's called fiat currency. It's fake money. That's literally what that means. They make it out of paper. A $5 bill is no different than a $50 bill. Only the ink on that damn paper changes the value. So look into actual precious metals, like I said, tangible commodities like gold, silver. All of those things are going to be best for you to have right now in your pocket, other than that paper. But we got my man Adam back. You were you were talking about this $1 trillion deficit being inflated and how all of that money went to the big bankers instead of we the people. Had it actually came to us, we'd be receiving $20,000, $30,000 checks each, per with these stimulus packages that have been passed. So we're seeing a lot of different crises being provoked again by our government. Not only these protests, but the economical crisis, the coronavirus, the pandemic panic that they've created, and it's all just ridiculous. But I want to move things along with the conversation because I got a lot of things that I would do.
Let me say a couple of things. I think I have to sort of wrap things up on this topic. I mean, the timing of getting cut out is really ironic. I'm sorry if you want to cut things short, but the trap, right? The trap that was set for Trump was, here's the coronavirus crisis, and Trump, remember, originally took the correct line on it, saying it's not a big deal. we can handle this without any extreme measures, and then walked right into their trap and was bragging a couple weeks later at his press conference, look how much our administration is doing. By the way, I can't do a really good Trump impersonation, but I can do a pretty good impersonation of Trevor Noah from The Daily Show doing a bad impersonation of President Trump. And anyway, so but then Trump's going, I can get out of this trap by November. I can figure out a way out of this. I can take credit. And then he's got one foot in the trap of coronavirus, and he's got the other foot outside, and he's going to try to pull out his foot, and then he slips on a banana peel named George Floyd, and now Donald Trump is screwed. And I was tempted before to say this is the fighting between the liberal and the conservative elements of government, and we should celebrate when the super class is fighting amongst themselves and Democrat. But that's really not fair, because it's more. I mean, Trump is a liberal socialist or a fascist, really by any definition. He doesn't even really pretend very well, at least, to have any genuine conservative values or principles of any kind whatsoever. Government has grown under Trump, yada yada, all these things. So you go, well, it's really fighting between the Republican wing of the Socialist Party and the Democrat wing of the Socialist Party. That is the same duopoly party. Really, they are just different wings of the same fundamentally corrupt system. So that's I just had to wrap that up. And Nick, if I'm frozen again, it looks like I'm frozen on my end. If my signal's bad, feel free to wrap me up and cut me off here. But I always enjoy talking to you, and I appreciate you hanging with me today.
Oh, I appreciate you talking with me, man. I'm not trying to get you out of here too soon, but yeah, in case things do cut out, I do want to, like I said, continue to ask you these questions. So hopefully we'll be able to schedule for some other time. But I do want to hold people's attention because their attention spans are about this short. So I kind of just want to move things along a little bit. So one thing I want to ask you about is historically, Black people have always been on the front lines of war in America. Not only in America, but in other wars throughout the world, So when we look at here in America, the Revolutionary War, Civil War, the World Wars, Vietnam War, there's always been a lot of Black people, majority Black, put on the front lines to be decimated and to
cannon fodder.
Exactly, cannon fodder. So I want to ask you, especially with what's going on now, because you have a lot of so-called conservatives that are plucking at this whole all lives matter, white lives matter,
blue lives matter.
Yeah, counter to Black Lives Matter. And it seems like they always bring up, well, what about the white on white violence? What about the white cops on the white cops that are unarmed white civilians? So why is it that they don't react? Why is it that Black people are the sacrificial lambs when it comes to Americans or white people being enthusiastic about getting involved in fighting for freedom?
Well, I want to point out, one of the inherent concepts in the racism of the system that, might be a reflection of just the poverty aspect, manifest in a specific way, where, I almost became a cop myself. And, and I know I can, with confidence, say I'm not a racist. I can look at racial differences. I can make fun of them. I can celebrate them. I'm not a racist. And I could still know that if I was a cop, if you gave me a gun and a badge and put me out on any street in America, and if I'm having a shitty day and I'm going to take it out on somebody, and if I'm in an interaction with a white dude, I know that if I mess with him, I'm going to face consequences. That's in the back of my mind, in my decision-making matrix. If I mess with a Black dude, I know I'm going to face less consequences because the system is more biased against him. Just as a bully going through that thought process, I can be Like to say now, I love the all cops are bastards, as in they're all corrupt. They're all, they're not all bad. They're not all bad people, but they're all corrupt. They're all defending a bad system that is inherently racist, that lets racism be manifest. And to your question, it might be that, there's a legacy of slavery still present in the Black community, in poverty rates, and just different, elements of social standing and social, disadvantage, that puts them in a position where just by virtue of that, they're at a disadvantage compared to white people. And so I hate to say this because now it sounds like racist saying it, but it's not, to say that because of these disadvantages, white people are better at protecting each other through the system than Black people. And if you go and protest, that's one way. But it's better? Being able to hire a lawyer and sue the hell out of them and get money, make them give up money from their department to cover up cops who are bad to your people. I hate to even say that your people, because I don't buy that, kind of collectivizing. But what I see around these protests is actually, you take stock of how far the Black community has come, and that you are able to make real change happen just by protesting now in a way that, like, even decades ago, MLK was the aberration out of that. This wasn't really possible to have a march, every time or for almost every innocent, Black man who's killed, and say, no, we need accountability. But I think the Black Americans and the Black community on the whole is still behind the white community and sort of protecting each other from the viciousness of the system. So I think that's a factor that I hope answers your question.
You're right about that. I definitely do support more community protection in Black neighborhoods. Did I lose you there for a minute? Damn, you got frozen again. But that was one of the things that I actually talked about on my campaigns, was creation of civilian oversight groups, civilian law enforcement groups, and employing those same people in the communities where police officers are sworn to protect and to serve, to provide law enforcement services. That would actually help with de-escalation of these incidents where police are called on the scene and we see things happen to become more violent, more aggravated, because the police officer is there. And they have that state of mind like Adam was talking about, because they know there are less consequences. And in some cases, they'll even receive promotion and incentives to attack certain groups of people like Black people, to get them in prison or harm them. Sometimes we I've learned that a lot of the murders against people of color happen around the holiday season. Why? Because if that officer happens to kill somebody, then they could be put off on paid administrative leave and, enjoy the holidays without having to serve, duty and work. So who would want that? Everybody likes to have perks and benefits to their job. So don't blame those people that are out there taking that position and doing exactly that. Steven, my man, he says, I don't doubt there's racism, but the cops still killed Dylan Noble. You're right about that. Out here, there's a guy named John Lang looking to that murder as well. And I think I got Kokesh back. What's up with you, brother? You made it back into the room.
If you're willing to keep vamping for me in between interruptions, I'm willing to keep going here, man. I hope I'm worth it.
One way or another, I'm telling you.
Hey, so as a white dude, am I allowed to be this comfortable talking about racial topics? Like, it's kind of weird, but at this point, like, we did the Black community outreach panel at the 2018 Libertarian National Convention. And I want to say to all my white brothers out there, and it's funny because, right, if I was half Black instead of half Jewish, it would be way more obvious. But I'm effectively white by a lot of standards. I get it. So to all my white brothers, I just want to share something that I got from Maj Touré, who does Black Guns Matter, great activist. champion of gun rights and self-defense rights for the Black community and inner cities in general. And he said, if you're confident in your intent, feel free. Like I say, like I know that I might say something in some of these sensitive topics that comes. Did a white dude say that? Yeah, get the fuck over it. Like I don't really care. I might say something that's going to piss off some black dude, but this is something that everybody needs to be. This is how we make progress. Is everybody's. And exactly. We all got to be comfortable talking about this one way or another.
And to tell you the truth, man, just personally, every individual has a moral meter, and they know when people is bullshitting them and when they're speaking in a way that's derogatory or offensive. So we can tell when someone is speaking in an offensive way, or when they're doing blackface and it's not funny, like Jimmy Kimmel. That shit was funny. I don't know why the fuck he apologized. That shit was funny. Yeah. And we know he got a lot of love for black people. Matter of fact, he has a lot of adoration for black people, which is why he employed the Roots to be his band for his TV show and has other people of color on his staff. So I definitely don't see him as being a person that I guess uses his platform of comedy to discriminate against black people. So when we talk about just speaking candidly, speaking honestly, and us conversing without emotions involved so progress can be made, this is how it's done. We got to sit down at the table. We got to be honest about what's on our heart, what's on our minds. We got to put aside all of these labels, all of the stereotypes that we think we may know about each other, so we can actually learn how each other is different, and not only different, but more than often the same. So we're all fighting for freedom, and that's why we're all Americans here in this country, believing in the ideal of liberty and justice. We're just not unified and fighting for that together. We all seem to have different ideas of what that looked like, and some people equate freedom with chaos. Is disgusting, because we're freely living each and every day, and it's not under the threat of the rule of law that keeps us in order. Ain't that right, Adam?
Yeah, what he said. Dude, I apologize, man. I have no idea what's going on here. This is like, this is really weird. This is like weird. This is welcome to the glitch in the Matrix.
All right.
Like this is we're like, this is crazy. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm going, what's gonna fail next? Right? Like it's pretty amazing, and it's a beautiful thing to celebrate that we've come to the point where we can get through what we've been going through in the United States, and no one goes hungry.
Right.
Excuse me. At least nobody starves. Food pantries, food banks, charity services are doing pretty well. Like, we're able to take care of each other. But if we become dependent on that for too long,
right. Yeah.
Government can come in and say, well, if you don't have a national ID, we can't let you have food. We have to cut you off.
Right.
Like,
not too many people are in a position where they're able to live off the grid and grow their own food. Some people live in cities where they have laws against them growing gardens in their front yard. Or
collecting rainwater.
Yeah, collecting rainwater, etc. So when we talk about legislative change, it's definitely a long time down the road, which is why I'm more promoting of the revolutionary aspect in us ridding our government of those individuals, so we, the people, can gain some control. Like Libertarian Justin Amish, who is pushing for this bill to remove the immunity clause that a lot of people don't know exists and actually protects police officers. Police officers, law enforcement have their own Bill of Rights, people. You can look it up. But I do want to ask you one thing before we go ahead and move to the next question. Oh, damn. I lost my man again. Well, hopefully we'll be able to ask him one more question before we wrap things up and get out of here, because I do want to ask him about his point of view about what's going on in our country as a military veteran. We're seeing a lot of military personnel actually in front of step out in front of the camera right now, speaking against what President Trump has done by again declaring that he's going to be sending out National Guardsmen to all 50 states and getting these protests to be under control. How he plans to do that is definitely in a combative way. That's how the military is trained, to be combative. They really aren't that trained to be peaceful. And since they are, again, soldiers that are sent out to go and cause destruction in wars in other countries, and supposedly they're peacekeepers, but how often do we see that actually happen in those countries? Most of the times we see destabilization where the troops are either moved to one base to another, attacks on military bases and embassies throughout the world. And that's because they don't like that military presence. We're going to have that right here in America. I've seen videos where there are troops posted in Hollywood, okay, right on the Walk of Stars. Check it out, people. This is not the state of America that we're supposed to be in. And our president declaring war on this people is an act of civil war, which is unconstitutional and is treasonous, according to, again, the United States Constitution, which Donald Trump swore to uphold. So all of you people that are claiming to be conservatives out there, that are supportive of Donald Trump, that are also supportive of the idea of the rule of law, definitely need to look into your priorities when it comes to what really matters, your principles. Is it really the idea of liberty and the Constitution? Adam Kokesh, I got you with me.
I hope after the sixth time it's funny. I'm frozen already again. I normally I love StreamYard. I'm pretty sure it's Verizon right now, or my phone, or something, or the NSA. But thank you to everybody for bearing with me.
Hey, I appreciate them too staying with us as well. But we're going to work our way through this. But I would like to wrap things up because, like I said, unfortunately, people's attention spans is short. And I think we would be on that at this point. But I do want to ask you one question before we get out of here. As a military veteran, how do you feel about Trump declaring, war on America, essentially, by saying that he's going to be sending out troops and, enacting some old clause in the Constitution, which really talks about if all the resources of the state is exhausted first, then the military is the last line of defense. And we, the people, are the ones that's being targeted. So actually, civil war. Is that not true?
I don't know if there are words to describe how sick it is that which we are convinced to fund through taxation to protect us is being used against us. I've said this before, that a government protects its people like a cattle rancher protects his cattle. And I'm not the first one to come up with this analogy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like, the cattle are getting uppity, huh? Well, let's go send in some ranch hands to, hit them with some cattle prods. And you go,
wow.
And but you know what? That's when I say that analogy doesn't even do it justice, because when I say hit them with some cattle prods, that means, go kill a few innocent people and get them in line. And justify the further militarization of the police across this country, justify the budgets of the military units that are getting sent in to enforce martial law against the American people already, as we've seen in some cities where they're shooting, riot control devices at people on their porches for not being inside their homes after curfew. This is fucking insane. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It is sick and sad and un-American. And I'm reminded of when we You know,
Oh no, I think I lost my man Adam again. But he was talking about how the president essentially, in his statement, saying that he was going to be sending out troops to distinguish or extinguish these protests, that it is essentially an act of war and declaring civil war, which is unconstitutional. You cannot declare war on your own people. And that's what the president is doing by saying that he's going to be sending out these troops. And we're funding that. We've been funding that. We've been funding this regime with our tax dollars. If you want to really rebel against the system, don't pay any more taxes. Don't pay into to the system anymore. Defund these police departments. The reason why the Los Angeles mayor said that he's going to take $125 million out of the over nearly $2 billion budget for LAPD. So that's about this much money, and give it to communities of people of color. How this money is going to be dispersed, we don't know. Who is going to be given to what organizations? How will it take effect? We don't know. But this only came as a result because a police sheriff made a statement about how all of these protests and looters, that they're the ones to blame for the death of George Floyd. That led to, I can't even tell you how many people to go outside of the mayor's house and protest. It was a sea of people. I kid you not. So all of the social distancing provisions, all of that went out the window. And yeah, it came as a direct response from that. So it takes us, we the people, to actually apply that pressure to government to have them reverse things. Are you not right about that?
All right. Let me see if I can put a bow on this one real quick for everybody, Nick. Because when I read about Germany in my middle school history textbooks, a big part of me was thinking, well, why didn't they stop this as it was happening? Didn't they see it coming? Right. And then I go, well, now I know why they didn't as a whole. There were probably people like you and me back then too going, hey guys. And the question now is, are we going to learn from history? Because the one thing we learn from history is that we never freaking learn from history, right? History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, Mark Twain. Well, if it rhymes, there's a spiral, there's progress. We keep lifting up, we keep learning. With every revolution, things get better until eventually they get to this point of vertical ascension that we are upon, this point of evolution over revolution. That is what we are on the verge of. And the question for America right now, what's our role going to be in this? Are there going to be enough people who join
the revolution and evolution of humankind? Are you going to continue to focus on the destruction and chaotic fall of America? I think that's what he was going to say, something to that degree. But he's right. We're standing by watching a fascist regime rise to power, and we question about historically what would the Germans have done, or why they stood by to allow the Nazis to rise to power. It's happening here in America, and Trump has over nearly 100 million followers on Twitter. 100 million followers on Twitter. I seen a video of a guy, white guy, talking about all he got to do is say one tweet talking about get these fuckers out of here. And every armed Trump supporter is going to be out there to get you fuckers out of there. And it'll be done in 1 hour. All right? Are you armed? Are you trained? No, I think not. I love you, TJ. Thank you for being here and being part of this revolution, because we definitely need more people stepping up to the plate from all different walks of life, all different shades of colors. All different complexions, all different ethnicities, all different religions. None of that shit matters. your political affiliation or association or ideals or theology, whatever. None of that matters. We all need to come together right now to get rid of our true enemy, and that is the statist, fascist neocons that are taking over our free country, and they are making it an enslaved population. Please, definitely, like I said, do whatever you can to educate yourself about these things. Stay in the loop. And of course, be sure to tune in next time. I'm going to be back for another Black Side of Liberty chat next week. I'll be talking with Josh Flynn, who is a candidate running for State House representative out in Illinois. And he will be on right here on the Black Side of Liberty next week, Tuesday. I wish I could have talked to my guest, Adam Kokesh, more, because I had a lot to talk to him about. But hopefully we'll be able to get him back on this show again soon in the future. So please, all of you out there, continue to subscribe, share, promote, help spread the word. This is what it's all about. Us keeping each other in the loop, us rising to the occasion, united as one, and us fighting for liberty, freedom, and justice for all. We the people can do it, and the governor is right here with you to fight alongside you. All right. Thank you all for all of the comments. I appreciate you, CJ Andrews, TJ Shelton for jumping in, Stephen, Eddie Jones, Aaron Campbell, Repo, all of you. I love you. To all of you viewers that were watching that didn't say shit, I appreciate you guys for tuning in as well. And like I said, please be sure to jump into the next episode and let's talk some more about the Black Side of Liberty. All right. Thank you for your time, all my beings of light, art, culture, and knowledge. Till next time, may the light of God and liberty shine on each and every one of y'all. Peace. Did I do it?